Hello, today we will be looking at the biology section in Let's Talk Science. The topic will be bacteria structure, and later on in the video, classification of bacteria. Bacteria are single-celled organisms. In other words, it means that they are made up of only one cell, which is unlike humans and other animals, because we are made up of trillions of cells. They usually measure approximately 3,000 nanometers in diameter. Those are two terms you might not know. A nanometer is approximately 1/1000th of a millimeter. And another term you may not know is diameter. That is the measurement from one side to the other side of a circular shape. So, back on track. A bacteria is much smaller than a human blood cell, which is 10,000 nanometers. Now we will be looking at the bacterium. A bacterium is the singular form of bacteria. Don't look at this picture and get overwhelmed. There are many parts to this cell, but I will be explaining them all. First, you have the pili, all over here, which helps the bacteria attach to each other and other surfaces. You have the nucleoid and the plasmids, which form the genetic material. Over here, you have the ribosomes, all these little circles, which help produce protein. All the blue, gel-like material you see there is where the ribosomes and the genetic material live. Now you have the outer parts of the cell. Over here, the capsule, cell wall, and plasma membrane. They all help control the movements of nutrients and wastes in and out of the cell. And over here, bacterial flagellum, this long whip-like thing, helps bacteria move and sense its environment. The cell wall is one of the most important structures of a cell. The bacterial cell walls help protect bacteria from bursting and helps give it its shape. The cell wall also controls entry of any molecules in and out of the cell. Most bacteria either have a thin or thick cell wall. This thickness helps scientists identify the different types of bacteria and put them in categories, which we will be looking at next in classification of bacteria. Now we will be looking at classification of bacteria. Since there are so many different types of bacteria in the world, it is important that we have a system to identify them. Bacteria are classified according to two characteristics: shape and thickness of the cell wall. Scientists use a technique called Gram staining to identify these characteristics. They use a dye, and the bacteria will change color according to how thick or thin the cell wall is. A bacteria is gram-positive when the thick cell wall will appear blue or dark purple when dyed. A cell is gram-negative when it has a thin cell wall, and it will appear pink or light purple when dyed. This bacteria is called Staphylococcus epidermidis. Its bacteria shape is cocci. It's a round, sphere-shaped bacteria that lives in humans and other animals' skin, and doesn't usually cause disease. The next type of bacteria is Escherichia coli, also known as E. coli. Its bacteria shape is bacilli. It's a rod-shaped bacteria that lives in the lower intestines of birds and mammals. Some strains of E. coli can cause serious disease, and in some cases death. Next up, we have Campylobacter jejuni. Its bacteria shape is spirilla. It's a helix-shaped, in other words, spiral-shaped, bacteria that is associated with poultry, which is chicken or turkey, etc. It lives in the digestive tracts of many types of birds and is one of the most common causes of food poisoning. The last type of bacteria we will be looking at is Vibrio vilificus. Its bacteria shape is vibriose. It's a comma-shaped bacteria that lives in marine environments, like estuaries and coastal areas. It can cause infection after eating seafood, especially raw or uncooked oysters. That is all for today. Hopefully, you have understood everything I have come to say. And if there are some parts you did not understand, you can look back at your Let's Talk Science handbook.